And this could end up being a very unique pick and ban phase, depending on whether or not Last Shadow continues his style of pick and ban phase, or if he defaults back to some of the stuff Gravity was playing earlier on in the season. And for Coast, there's always that question of when do they start trying straight up new things, or do they just keep trying to go at what hasn't been working for them and just play better?
A lot of people thought it would come from Impaler in the jungle. If it was the early game, he had a huge impact in the promotion tournament for Coast. It hasn't really been able to show in the start of the games here in the North American Spring Split. Morgana out, Jarvan out as well, something Impaler does like to get going early on and can get from lane to lane. So his early game is going to be hurt from that. Zed as well on the ban list as we start the picks.
Yes, Gravity's bans are heavily targeted at what Team Coast has found limited success on. In their one win, they did run Aurelia and Jarvan, and there's also been some solid Jarvan and Aurelia games that Coast has had even when they haven't found victory. So I'd say the first two bans there by Gravity, very good and targeted, not strictly power bans, but targeted at the individual skill of their opponents.
Right. Exactly what we need to hit with Coast. We know Cris in the laning phase is one of the stronger players. Look to him to kind of carry the team out of that as the time is as of right now. So if Coast can't get to the fight phase without having a good laning phase, it's going to be tough. These picks need to be high priority for them. And two good ones actually that we've been seeing quite a bit on the ban list. Rumble goes to Cris, so he may be good off in the lane. And Corki could go to Mancloud or Mash. We've seen it going back and forth.
Yeah, Corki, another just generically strong AD carry pick. It's also something that Cop has excelled a lot on in the past. However, even if they might not pick it right now, I think Gravity will pick Sivir into the Corki. You can spell shield the Phosphorus Bomb. It also works very well with Rek'Sai and more of an initiation composition that Gravity will probably end up putting together here. Sivir and Maokai also working well together. I don't think they don't need to pick it here, though. We may end up seeing a support pick, which will be that Veigar.
That Veigar indeed. Bunny FuFuu will get that locked in. We saw it on the ban list quite a few times yesterday, but it seemed to fall to the wayside in the minds of the players, or it just wouldn't have been something that was in the cards.
I mean, to be fair, I want to see how good Bunny FuFuu is on this champion, because the support Veigar is absolutely something that started in Korea, and it's very similar to the picking patterns that Last Shadow has shown, where he's pretty much just taking champions that are high priority in the LCK and having Gravity play them. It happened when Victor emerged on the scene, won 2 games. Hecarim top lane's another example of that. And Veigar support is almost permanently banned on this patch in Korea.
Yeah.
I want to see how well Bunny FuFuu manages that stun, because it's not something that comes easy.
Nope.
Knowing the exact range of that.
There's still his Thresh to be picked there as well. There's still champions that could fall into that.
Yeah.
I was going to say the REngar hasn't come out that recently for Impaler, but he is going to put it into this game. He will try to make an impact, get himself farmed up, and start those ganks as soon as possible once he gets his ultimate. We have some initiation power as well from Sheep at all points in the game once Flash is up for Tibbers. Some awesome picks coming in here to start off the first game of the day. A little bit of flavor. Definitely going to get some fight out of these.
Well, I'm excited to see Impaler's REngar again. I'm very glad that he is bringing it out. It's not something he's really played much of. He played 2 games of it within the first 2 weeks, but it was one of his best champions. He's really talented on it, and it definitely feels like Coast is reverting to the stuff that was working for them.
Keane took Kassadin in week 5 against Team 8, was able to get a victory there, a 3-2-12 game, so kept him safe in lane, kept himself going. I don't think he'll need too much help from from Saintvicious on Rek'Sai for this one.
Yeah, the only thing I'm surprised of with this Gravity composition is the fact that they didn't pick Sivir or Thresh, really. It's the bottom lane picks that are surprising me a little bit, but it still has a pretty good theme for how Gravity has found success. There's been a lot of games where Gravity is running stuff like Zed mid lane, maybe a Vi jungle, stuff that really goes in against disengaged teams and still succeeding. Gravity really excels when they can flank the opposition, and stuff like Rek'Sai, Maokai, Kassadin is very good at flanking.
Flanking, but now you got a lot of dudes that are going to be jumping around. There's a Corki and now an Ezreal again in the mid lane. People are loving this pickup quite a bit.
And this is actually essentially a tankless team composition by Coast if Impaler decides to build a little bit of damage on REngar. It'll create very precise team fighting, and they'll need to get a lot of pressure on the opponent and push lanes early, knowing that they're mainly just damage dealers on that team with a little bit of CC sprinkled in.
Well, you're going to have 2 AD carries that you're going to be able to explode if Keane gets going on Kassadin. Going to be tough for Mancloud and Mash if things go bad for them in the early portion of the game. Like we said, that laning phase is something they want to focus on. Last Shadow there. Done with picks and bans. Making his way out with the Rashi coach. And we're going to be onto the Rift shortly here. The picks and bans definitely showing us that teams want to try something different. We get the Veigar out of Bunny FuFuu. Mancloud's going to go back to an AD carry in the mid lane with the Ezreal. See how this works out for him. They definitely need to get that spark for the team. It's your turn now to weigh in on this match. Tweet hashtag GVWin or hashtag CSTWin to @LOL Esports. We'll be tallying the votes throughout the game. The teams also want to hear what you have to say. Root for them. We're going to be into the Rift in just a second. Mancloud hopefully shaking off those jitters here as he approaches another game with Coast versus Gravity.
Yeah, mid lane Ezreal against Kassadin can be a pretty favorable matchup for Ezreal early on. A lot of shoving potential that they have here. Whether or not Coast can take advantage of somewhat low wave clear by Gravity would be a potential edge that Coast wants to take in this game. Let's pay very close attention to see if we end up getting lane swaps as well. But Coast is going to want to be shoving these lanes and applying a lot of pressure early.
Now, picking up Rek'Sai, is that something that kind of may synergize with these low wave clear comps, since you can ult out, get back into a turret saving position, get that defense up?
So Rek'Sai is actually very interesting in that context because he needs to be able to clear the minion wave before the siege begins. It's one of those things that if you fall behind as Rek'Sai, he is awful in these wave clear scenarios, but if you can stay one step ahead of the opponent, you can prevent numerous sieges. As long as Gravity has Cop where the main siege is, and then Rek'Sai can just dance around clearing other minion waves, assuming Gravity is willing to give that level of farm to their jungle as well, which is a completely other can of worms. But I think it can be done. It's just very dependent on whether or not Gravity has a lead.
You may see Cop building up the static shiv for that reason as well. A little more wave clear for the team. And it's just going to be the early wards mirrored deep on both sides. You can see where the lane swap goes here. Stun up for Saintvicious for help with Krugs. And it looks like they may actually see him here. He peeks out just enough.
If you peek out, you can definitely get spotted. If you stay inside the Krugs, they will not see you. I'm very surprised Saint was up there because they had the wards anyway to be able to hide. And now he's opening himself up to some harassment. That was just a very poor play by Saintvicious. Yeah, he lost half of his health. Was not able to get that. Great presence of mind by Sheep to walk down there. This definitely gives a bit of an early lead to Coast.
Things like that timed on the minion wave in your lane as well on the bottom side. He could have seen that he would have been spotted out there.
Because it's the minion wave that saw him. It's not even a champion.
Right.
If he stayed in a brush or stayed inside the Krugs where the minion waves can't see that far, Gravity could have pulled off a full counter jungle. They could have done Krugs with the Rek'Sai. They could have done Raptors with the Maokai. And they could have double-teamed the red buff and done an incredibly fast side clear. But now they're opening themselves up to continuing harassment. Sheep is playing this beautifully.
Sheep's on the full roam. He is not afraid whatsoever. He's making sure, as long as he has vision of the other lanes, nobody is posing a threat to him to continuously walk in. Maybe wasting a little bit of time and keep grabbing an experience. But remember, Impaler's doing now solo jungle to himself as these guys are sharing the experience throughout. Still means that they could make an impact together if they go to gank bottom lane. We can see Cris going down. But we'll see if Impaler can actually make something out of this as well. He's heading towards the top side to finish his jungle.
Yeah, the jungle that had to be bailed out on by Gravity. It was a little bit, like, on top of the mistake that Saintvicious made, it was a very peculiar start by the junglers themselves. Impaler not doing parallel jungling with his duo lane, which is something we often see in lane swap scenarios because he can offer protection. If Sheep hadn't have found Saintvicious by checking the Krugs there, Impaler would have been heavily counter jungled just based on the jungle path he chose to do. He gets away with it though because of Sheep.
Yep. As long as they could make an advantage out of this, it could be what Coast needs to start and run with this game. We know that with a little advantage, they kind of keep the game consistent. So it has to be something they work on, a big advantage that comes through. 55-45 on the vote.
Yeah.
And it is constantly changing as Coast is winning back a few of those percentages.
Very high Twitter vote there for Coast. There was also a Reddit thread trying to get a little bit of Coast support going today.
Coast love.
Both in the pregame thread as well as in the Twitter sphere. And it's working a little bit. Still not quite over 50, but they're close. And honestly, with that opening, Coast does have a very slight lead. They're losing it pretty quickly, though.
Yeah. Not too many moves can be made for that pre-6 for REngar. Impaler, however, not afraid to try. And it looks like he may hover towards the bottom lane. They may, however, find a bit of Saintvicious and Hauntzer invading the jungle over to Gromp here. Sheep.
Do they
have
eyes on this?
They do. Yes, they do. Absolutely. Jumping in. That's going to be the stun from Sheep. He actually flashes in, gets the ignite on. It's ticking down on Saint, but I don't think it's going to be enough for the kill. There's the flame spitter. One more hit. Saintvicious gets out by the skin of his teeth.
What a perfect Event Horizon stun there by Bunny FuFuu's Veigar. Ooh, avoiding disaster. Saintvicious is already under-leveled. He burned his flash as well. If that would have ended up being a kill, it would have just catapulted Impaler ahead of him. But now it just ends up being a trade of flashes and Impaler going back to jungling. Whew, close one.
Sheep, flash, ignite down for that bottom lane. They're getting pushed in now by Cop and Bunny FuFuu, feeling pretty good about that. We'll see how this pans out. I don't know if Dragon's going to be in the near future. That big back and forth probably slowed things down for the junglers here. See, Saintvicious back down to the bottom side. He is 10 CS actually behind Impaler right now, so they were definitely looking to keep that going with Hauntzer and get this back into the game for themselves.
The early presence from Rek'Sai is definitely diminished, though. That's always a bonus. Now Sheep needs to do as well as Impaler. Honestly, I think Impaler just needs to farm mostly until 6 and then start impacting the game with those REngar ganks. His lanes are holding for the most part, but he's really trying to make that pre-level 6 impact here.
He's getting antsy.
Doesn't have the flash down on Hauntzer. Not sure
Just saying
what
hi.
Was doing.
Just saying hi. He actually used out his 5th charge, didn't he? Not that it matters.
No, I think he was sitting on 2 ferocities, so he built one up on the minion wave.
So back to Krugs for him. This now lets Saintvicious know that Impaler is on the top side, so he's going to roam up here safely knowing there may be a counter for Hauntzer. And the pink wards we're starting to see come out now from Coast. Already laid down in the Pixel Brush just under Baron, keeping that mid lane safe, as well as any rotations into the side of Impaler's jungle. He wants to keep that all to himself. Ever since that little do-si-do at Gromp, Cop and Bunny FuFuu have been nicely pushing this lane up and keeping pressure on the turret, looking to take that down quick.
Yep, we're going to have to see the continued effect of Bunny FuFuu's Veigar here in the North American LCS. Of course, we have seen Lemon Nation play it.
Yeah.
And then draw bans with it as well.
That stun, though, it does take practice. You'll see a lot of Veigars, everybody gets caught inside the circle, but to get the ring around him instantly, especially when they're moving.
And even then, just to position yourself in between the stuns. He's just a super tiny, squishy little Yordle.
Yep.
With just that one spell really to protect him.
Well, it was all he needed for the time being. Saves first blood. The gold is exactly even as it ticks along. Just 8 minutes into the game. Keane's going to grab over blue. Bunny getting the hardcore roam on now. Looks like he should be able to clear this pink ward, but still there. He will find it. And it looks like Gravity is feeling comfortable enough to start moving their vision up. Definitely telling of how they feel the game is going. Maybe all the way to the top lane here.
Yeah, well, they're lane swapping up with the Dragon still alive at 8 minutes and 30 seconds. And this is actually a play I generally agree with. I see more and more teams trading turrets for Dragon pressure early on in the game. And they're just going straight for this turret. They don't really even care about trying to get Cris. They're just beating them to the punch, taking a turret. And they already have a Maokai in the bottom lane with relatively good wave clear.
Yeah.
On top of that, Coast isn't even in position to take the Dragon. This is just an outplay by Gravity.
Nicely done. And when the Dragon does come up, We have to remember, Gravity peppered the heck out of that bottom turret already, so that's an easy takedown, pretty much prepped whenever they want it after a good fight. A little bit of a harassment there from Hauntzer. Nicely keeping Sheep from going back.
No.
Cris stepping a little too close to the fire there. Gets caught up, and Bunny FuFuu hits another Event Horizon that turns into a kill.
Yeah. At rank 2, Event Horizon already stunning for 1.75 seconds, and it's far too early for people to be building up tenacity. Very potent on the roam, and Cris not respecting the overpush. This is Gravity beginning to pick apart Coast.
Oh, that could definitely be a kill on Saintvicious, but again, the Event Horizon come in, teleport from Cris.
But now it's down.
Up. He does not have level 6. He is not going to be able to use the equalizer. This is going to be a real scrapper back and forth. We actually don't have ults anywhere except for Impaler. He's going to be ditching out of this one with his ult. And the fight has stopped. Mashmi in the bottom lane. He's got the rockets. A few more to hit. He flashes, then he misses. Down to single digits. Hauntzer keeps himself upright.
How in the world did Gravity not suffer a single casualty after all of those things happening? They were getting teleported in behind. A REngar ultimate was popped with a ton of people at low health. And then Hauntzer cancels his TP out because Mash was going to straight up kill him. But by the skin of their teeth, they managed to get away, maybe not even losing this bottom tier turret. So all the benefit of the 2 turret kills and none of the consequences of the overextending.
No consequences at all. They get back to their jungle, start grabbing up all of their resources that I believe they've denied through their last jungle endeavor. And here onto Mashmi, very low mana, isn't going to be able to Valkyrie. I like the choice of staying inside. He may give himself enough time to still get out. Great play by Mashmi there to stay calm.
Yeah, so I would call that the first miss stun there by Bunny FuFuu.
It is. That's how hard it is to miss.
Down, and he didn't,
or hit, rather.
He didn't start the stun right on the edge. The other ones were pretty much perfect from Bunny FuFuu, though. And to talk about this game a little more, we know that Coast wants to take advantage of Gravity's low wave clear, and the only way that wasn't going to be possible is if Gravity can be kind of one step ahead of them, and that's what's been happening. Gravity beat them to the top lane, getting their team members there first. So having low wave clear from, it's more that they have low ranged wave clear. The melee wave clear is actually respectable. And now that could become a problem for Mancloud. He should have been winning this lane early. The fact that he is behind Kassadin at this point spells a little bit of trouble.
Especially with the Dorans. We actually saw Xiao playing this
Bunny
with the
stun.
consumables yesterday. Oh, and he flashes it.
Woo. So Mancloud did bring cleanse for that very fact. He got stunned. He actually arcane shifted into the other side of the stun.
Those
had
were
to
some
cleanse out.
fast fingers right there. Almost caught me by surprise. Gets himself out. 2 summoners, though, to stay alive does not mean the lane is going well. And this is Gravity now. They have gone from top. They took out bottom, and they've just come to mid. And I don't think they're going to be too long, or it's going to be too long before this turret goes down. They have a method to the madness, and right now it's 3,000 gold in the lead.
Yeah, 3 turrets down, and they haven't even had to pay a dragon for it. Pretty remarkable there for Gravity. Coast doesn't need the dragon, actually. They need to get turrets back. Oh, man. Oh, no. Bunny FuFuu, 2 great stuns there with that Event Horizon. I mean, we're seeing the power of why this is a respected pick. And this, more so than yesterday when we saw Keane on Victor or Saintvicious on Nidalee, it does appear like Bunny FuFuu has at least achieved a high level of proficiency with this support Veigar. His Event Horizons have been almost perfect.
The baby cages are on point. Locking down whatever they need. Oh, Mancloud not looking like he wants to take that fight, but Keane also knows chasing wouldn't be that great. Gravity actually has the vision. If Keane did want to chase, they could get there in time. Mashmi, a little bit of a bait that Gravity doesn't want to take, but also could have taken a lot of free damage there. Very, very risky things here that Coast is doing as their jungle's being taken. They're not able to really react to it. Gravity pressuring the advantage well, though.
They really are. They're doing this Dragon's Trade on Vision. Coast really wants to get a turret back, but they are honestly just not playing together right now. As the Dragon's being taken, Coast would have needed a 5-man push mid. 2 people were recalled while 3 people are pushing. They're just, they're not playing as a team. And obviously, that ends up happening when a team comes into a game 1-10. There are a lot of things that are wrong. We're just seeing some of them in this game, being beaten to pretty much every map movement and not being able to secure objectives.
Yeah, always kind of second guessing. Not for sure about the thoughts. Here goes the mid turret as well. Knockdown right quick, which means Gravity continues to push the wards forward, which means it's even harder for Impaler to try to get these flanks and even get any ganks for these guys. Gravity is doing a very nice job at shutting down everything, and the Veigar pick as well for REngar makes it tough. He's jumping in, right? Who's going to follow him after there's a giant cage around him?
Absolutely, and especially because Gravity is staying fairly well grouped.
Yeah.
One of the great powers of having REngar in the middle late game, now that he has this warrior enchantment, he's really good at picking off stragglers, which if Gravity was behind in their minion wave clearing and struggling to push out of their base, REngar would be able to punish those solo people together. But if Gravity is dictating to Coast and staying as a group or only split pushing with tanks, then REngar can't find opportunities to go in. Like right now, if you're thinking as Impaler, who do you go for? If Keane gets the exclamation mark over his head, he shifts away before Impaler's in jump range. Everyone else is grouped or a tank. There is not an opportunity for Impaler to pick off a straggler at the moment.
Right.
With the way Gravity is playing.
It's going to be hard for Coast to take him down if they do get the lockdown. You have 2 Round of Ages making these solo lanes healthy. Really, Cop's the guy you're looking for, and Cop, he has good positioning. He knows how to stay safe.
And also such a greedy ward there by Bunny FuFuu, but now it's just going to pay off. That was like a few seconds of vulnerability. If Impaler had been in the area, he could have ulted and killed the Veigar. But now that he's gotten that ward, they will always know which sector of the map Impaler is on. They know now that he's at the bottom lane.
They're able to set up the defense necessary to keep everyone safe. Saintvicious letting them know. Sheep saying, yep, we got the Seeker. And they ward over the wall, so Saintvicious retreats from that position. The rotation over could happen from Hauntzer. The teleports are up for both top laners, but it doesn't look like they're going to try to take a fight right now. Coast still on their heels, and Gravity doesn't look to pressure that. Playing this one very safe, as we've seen many teams once they reach the second inner line of turrets. Coast still putting the pink wards out. We see 2 right here above Impaler, Mancloud, and the rest of the team. Actually 3 in that area. So they're not giving up just yet, obviously. They're trying to keep their own jungle and their own resources. Not for long, apparently. They can't defend what they're putting out.
I mean, we've seen it. It is hard to find picks with a double AD composition. Sheep would need to land a stun onto a squishy target, but if they ever do that, unless the person is actually Bunny FuFuu, the event horizon goes down, the Veigar stun, no one can follow up. And that has actually happened multiple times.
Right.
In the early game here.
Still have the option of Sheep, the anti-engage with Flash if they can get into range. We were saying that Gravity is staying a bit bunched. Maybe if they have eyes on Impaler, Sheep can use that window to get himself in. So many options, but so much easier to say than actually make happen. Still focusing on this bottom turret, but Coast is putting a lot of efforts down here as well. Keane feels safe. Safe enough, at least. And he actually fakes out Impaler on that one. Oh, can he get over the wall in time? Yes, he can. And so many abilities were blown onto Keane, which gives Gravity the right to just start walking around. They're able to take a few shots back. Mancloud finds himself in a very peculiar position, and he goes down as well, having to use both summoners once again.
Ouch, we're only 17 minutes into this game, and it looks like that was already a desperation fight for Coast. Impaler tried to make it in. He did get a route onto Keane, but he misjudged the location of the Rift Walk, thinking he went over a wall when he actually went into a brush. And it allowed the turn all but too easy for Gravity there. Now 6,000 gold lead.
It's one of those games where it keeps happening. We saw that happen to Mash versus Hauntzer in the bottom lane. He got away with just a bit of health. But that time, it was all of the team focusing Keane, and Gravity was able to take advantage. A minute 15, that second dragon should be theirs. See Impaler doesn't even feel safe right now to be taking his own jungle after that. They're very wary of what they can do. Definitely affecting their calls, affecting their positioning. We'll see this again.
Yeah, I mean, Impaler tried to make a jump, and then the fact that the event horizon was burned was glorious, but Impaler couldn't have known which side Keane went to. Then, as we saw, Sheep did find him, trying to make a play, ends up flashing in, but it was so much tunneling on, honestly, a Rodavade's Kassadin is a relatively tanky guy, which is kind of catching Coast off guard there. their damage wasn't immediately following up the stuns. Nothing followed up the root, nothing followed up Sheep's ultimate. And all those closers did for Coast at the time was just make them even more vulnerable for Gravity's counter engage, because the Kassadin Maokai on Gravity is very good at actually engaging to begin with, so a counter engage is just even easier in that sense. Finally, Coast gets their first turret of the game, but it's probably too little too late. Yeah,
too little too late. We also saw the Rumble equalizer almost not be effective in there. It's really hard for Cris to hit it on this team. They're either rifting, tunneling away, dashing away, and everybody's off that damage immediately. They have to find the group fight. It's not going to be at this Dragon. Dragon number 2 going over to Gravity. 4-0, 6,000 gold in the lead, and the second Dragon in this game. Going for the perfect. Besides that turret, of course.
Let's call it a no-hitter.
Yeah.
It's not quite a perfect game. Deathless match.
There you go.
Which is always tricky with the crazy power of those inhibitor turrets. I wonder if Gravity would find a way to get this game done with no deaths.
It's going to have to be a big fight before they approach that turret. But they've been finding all of the ones that they need.
So something we saw yesterday in the NA LCS was shorter games and teams being able to finish a little bit better. Something that definitely wasn't happening in the first few weeks of the LCS. What a lot of teams have been adjusting to in these new season changes, outside of all the early game stuff and Dragon not giving as much gold, is just the sheer power of those inhibitor turrets, and even the second tier turrets that have the shield. Until you have a lot of gold and resources built up, since Dragon no longer gives you that gold, but instead just a passive buff, you have to be much more creative, and it is much more difficult to take down the shield turrets, and even more so, the inhibitor turrets. Like, winning a game in sub 30 minutes is really difficult by a lot of these teams. We've even seen some of these one-sided games go 35 and 37 minutes long. But yesterday in particular, we saw a lot of 30-minute games, which was a distinct improvement in North American teams' ability to actually close out these games in a quick and decisive manner. With Gravity having 5 turrets down, only 1 of the middle-tier turrets still surviving, I wonder, they're kind of on the clock here of how cleanly and quickly can they finish this game.
Well, we've seen teams' movements be more concise. They don't just kind of walk out to the mid lane and then spread out. Gravity, in this game even, we've seen them straight to the top lane. They went first turret, killed Cris again, took second turret, bottom, and then so forth. They just do it again here to mid. They went towards the top side of the map, grabbed the camps, and grabbed mid lane. They always have something on the agenda, and they're not waiting about. No pussyfooting around. Looks like Aranduin's going to be coming out here for Saintvicious.
They're a little bit overextended here. This could be it. Oh, they don't get the stun.
This is the kind of fight Coast wants to find, but it's going to be Gravity coming in from the side. They're actually able to zero out Saintvicious as the team could not funnel in as fast. They do lose Sheik, though.
Yeah, well, Gravity engaged there without the Veigar stun landing, but if you flash stunning, which is basically like a flash ult, now a potential counter engage. Gotta land that equalizer, though, Cris.
Got it. The team was already ahead. The event horizon as well, something you have to think about. The team cannot follow up on, and Keane goes back in for a little more damage onto Mancloud. FuFuu wants it again with the cooldown coming up, and Hauntzer and Keane coming in from the side once again. Cris goes down. The fight going long goes in favor of Gravity.
Yep, Coast definitely overstayed their welcome. Teleport in from the backside. I loved the idea of Coast re-engaging that one after Gravity had burned so much for a 1-for-1 trade. But the spells just didn't land in the right order. Gravity now going aggressively for a Baron. Impaler does have flash up. They're going to try and make that not a potential steal. Keane will be on the hunt for REngar, I believe.
She bet a smile on his face. You got to try, right? Valiant attempt. It's pretty far gone in the game. They're doing what they can to scratch back here, grab the first rung of the ladder if possible. But looks like Gravity's just pulling the ladder up every time they reach for it. Pulling it up a little bit more. Cannot get it. So Baron going over, and we'll see this fight one more time.
Yeah, this was the re-engage attempt by Coast, and looking at that, it's just a poorly placed equalizer that makes that fight not a possibility. Gravity was going to fall back towards their turret, so you have to cut that path off with the equalizer, and also land it on the target that Impaler actually roots. Because they extended there, and the teleport came in, the counter engage was very easy. Since nobody was low, the squishes could just easily combo back onto what Hauntzer had reinitiated.
And as scary as it looked, Keane didn't even have to use Zhonya's in that fight, so we just see how far ahead these guys are. Talisman of Ascension now for Bunny FuFuu, so he can get in range for those event horizons much easier. Keane fearlessly taking a stroll through the side of Coast Jungle with 1:30 left on Dragon. Looks like he's just trying to get any picks to make that easier for the team. I guess these are the situations as well. You put yourself in that spot, the next turrets are going to be easier to take. That's where we see the lulls of the team is most approach it, and they just sit there and battle back and forth. Take the poke. Gravity's done a nice job at getting some of the flanks in. Here, we'll see the frontal approach. Let's see how it works.
Yep, Baron buffed up. I wonder if they'll try and get 2 waves going or if they'll just brute force through with this one. The Veigar stun can come out to zone people off the turret. They have 1 cannon with them right now that I don't think will die before the next wave gets there. It'll kind of make the next wave a little bit harder to clear on top of that. Coast trying their hardest to get that cannon minion down. Not, oh, they did it, but
they got it.
It cost them.
It cost them a lot of room. They're able to get in. Only a little bit more damage on the turret, but keep your eyes on the outside lanes as well on that mini-map. So far pushed in here. Gravity, if they decide to back off, can start splitting things up. Oh, right into the fight. Sheep tries to flash. He uses everything, but he goes down, and Hauntzer makes it out with barely a scratch.
But I think that stops the push nonetheless. You can see because Bunny, FuFuu, and Saint were dropped so low. Wide left.
A little bit. He tried.
Now Saint's back. They might just try and keep this push going with 3. Now they're going to fall away.
Could get a 3rd dragon. A little bit of a dance from Cris.
Yeah.
Holding his ground. Blues are going to be starting to take away every time now from Mancloud. His Murmon is finished, so there should be a little bit of damage coming from his Mystic shots, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to stop the pressure.
It's too bad. You need the Trinity Force and the Merman spike together to get that real power on Ezreal, but he's hitting that so late in the game. Mancloud really needed to win the lane against Kassadin, even before they started falling behind in team fights.
Thought he would have had a little bit easier time with the 2v1 lane. Usually mids kind of have a 1v1 battle back and forth in that situation. And the AD carry, usually you think kind of pokes out the AP carry, but not this time. Held his own in mid lane. Keane did very well on Kassadin, his 2nd play of the spring split. Now the rest of the team is benefiting from that as well. Great moves from Saintvicious in the early game to start things off. Cop 404 on Graves. They may give him another one. Actually goes over to Keane for a 206. And they're quickly, they should not be getting picks like this in front of the turret.
Ouch. Well, the interesting thing is, I know it's hard to finish boots and stuff when you're behind. Not a single member of Coast even has a tenacity item, let alone Merc Treads. And so anytime Bunny FuFuu lands a stun, it is a kill. It's a 2.5-second stun. Coast loses their inhibitor even after the Baron buff went down, mainly because one event horizon finally stunned someone. Easy work for Gravity.
It's scary. It's like the safer version of Tibbers. Just like, here you go, take this. I don't have to flash. And it comes up a little more often.
Yeah.
Cooldown's a bit shorter. Definitely working out for Gravity this game, and the reason we've been seeing Veigar get some bans here in North American LCS, and I'd say every region is seeing those bans every now and then. Looks like we're also going to get a Righteous Glory here for Bunny FuFuu. Got to go fast. He wants more speed.
Double speed.
Double speed. He'll be able to crush people down with Event Horizon and then a bit of his own damage. Still looking for Mash to build his items up. His spike is just with the Triforce. Infinity Edge is slowly following in there. They've been really hard struck for items this game. As they were sharing minions quite early. They got pushed in by Gravity and all their turrets got taken down real fast. That has led now to the 13,000 gold lead that Gravity has, and soon to put the stamp on the Nexus.
Yeah, this is a good confidence building game for Gravity, and it's very important in their run to try and become a playoff team. There is that big stack in the standings of 5 and 6 teams coming into the day's matches. Being a 6-6 team after this one would probably feel pretty good for Gravity.
Yep, especially after the loss to Liquid yesterday. They could have had 4th again. Oh, Cloud!
Oh.
Keane riffs in. He was like, the Ignite may get him, but I'm going to go for another hit. Cris actually going to be walking to his death. Tries to get out. No, he flashed into the wall. We've all done it. We've all been there. A double kill coming in for Keane, and Cobb and Bunny FuFuu are already on the other side of the map, wreaking havoc towards the top side. Saintvicious will gather for the party. They're going to start on the next inhibitor turret.
I gotta say, that's an incredibly early death cap for Kassadin. And you are seeing...
3 item, 30 minutes?
Yeah.
Item, 10 minutes.
13,000 gold.
Yeah, they pretty much have all the power now, especially with Mancloud and Cris down. No equalizer to cut anybody off. They take full control of these outer turrets. The bottom wave pushed out a little too far, so they may not be able to get there just yet, but Baron has 35 seconds. Probably make sure they get that so Coast doesn't try to do anything sneaky.
Yep, Baron number 2 will be easy for them to secure. They can even recall, make sure they buy up all the goodies. Some extra elixirs wouldn't be a bad idea. With 2 inhibitors down, they may not even need the Baron, but because it's coming up so soon...
Why not? Get the bag of chips. You always take the combo.
Yeah. It's true.
A little extra gold from the pink ward. And Gravity, like you said, moving to 6-6 on this one. A very solid team coming into the split. They've been able to do a lot of big things, and it's not just when one person plays well. The whole team can come together and play well, but they do also have people that can carry, which means it's a team that can definitely make it through the playoffs.
Yeah, and they're coming off of 2 straight losses as well. They lost to Impulse in week 5 and Team Liquid yesterday. So trying to get right back to that 500 record. As a team that entered as well through the expansion tournament, it is the best performance. It will be the best record of teams that are new to the LCS.
Yeah.
Of course, Team 8 also performing relatively well right on their heels. It's just Coast here, the last team to qualify for the LCS, also the last place team in the LCS this split, that hasn't quite fit in with the rest of the LCS teams.
Unfortunate. Well, with those first 4 games, like we said, they were so close. But I think it's led to the second guessing, what we see in teams when things don't work out and you're just not sure. And everybody's not sure, then you take fights that never work. And it kind of just starts to compound on itself.
I mean, Coast had to start taking desperation fights 16 to 17 minutes into the game. And when those don't work, you're just put in a really rough situation. Gravity has been playing this one very slow and steady.
And we even thought...
we're only 31 minutes in. Oh, that was a couple of spells.
That was a couple spells. And we even thought that Coast would have the advantage with Saintvicious being caught out early this game and Sheep with a little bit of that early roam. But Gravity was able to assess, recalibrate, and figure out what to do and really take control of this one. Mash Me taking just as much damage as Mancloud. You see what that risk is with the double AD composition. The AD carries always stay squished. Sheep goes in for a hit. Bunny FuFuu goes down. Impaler, he's going to be shredded as well. And Hauntzer just gets out alive. The skin of his teeth once again. He may not have any more skin on his teeth. It's going to be Gravity taking down the Nexus turrets. The Nexus as well is going to fall down in just over 30 minutes as they try to pad a few more kills onto the Nexus. Cop getting that focus down. 61K to 41K, a 20,000 gold lead as Saint dives deep for that one. It's going to be Gravity taking down Coast.